Rich millionaire buys a necklace for his mistress, but his pregnant wife's bold move stuns everyone. In a realm of glittering wealth and carefully cultivated glamour, one secret gift threatens to unravel every facade. Raymond Black, a self-made millionaire lauded for his sharp instincts and impeccable public image, is hiding a tangled web of personal desires. His pregnant wife, Isabel, remains blissfully unaware of the cracks forming in their perfect marriage until a single extravagant purchase for another woman sets events spiraling beyond control. When whispers of a priceless necklace reach Isabel's ears, she steels herself for a confrontation that will prove she's far from a timid victim. In a bold move that leaves the city's elite speechless, she seizes her own destiny and changes everyone's fate. Isabel Carter grew up in a small, close-knit town outside Philadelphia, nurtured by modest but devoted parents who valued honesty above all. Even as a teenager, she displayed a quiet determination that glowed under her reserved demeanor. By the time she enrolled in college, she'd gained acceptance to a competitive business program, setting her sights on forging a steady, meaningful career. Meeting Raymond Black at a professional networking event felt like destiny. He was the keynote speaker, a young, dashing entrepreneur whose startup in the tech industry had just caught the eye of major investors. Her curiosity was piqued by the confidence in his smile, an aura of success that enthralled everyone else in the room. Later that evening, as though guided by fate, they found themselves talking by the buffet, discussing everything from microchip supply chains to philanthropic dreams. Their courtship happened in a whirlwind. Raymond was the type to surprise her with elaborate gestures, private helicopter rides over scenic countrysides, candlelit dinners in five-star restaurants, bouquets of lilies that arrived at her office just because it was Monday. Isabel, initially overwhelmed, soon found herself intoxicated by the romance of it all. By the end of that year, they were engaged, and her small hometown roared with pride at the local girl who'd snagged a budding millionaire. Over time, Raymond's empire, Blackstone Innovations, ballooned. He dabbled in real estate, stock acquisitions, and philanthropic ventures, earning him the label of a modern Renaissance man in the tabloids. Isabel stood beside him, quietly supportive, choosing not to overshadow her husband's achievements. She built her own career in project management at a reputable firm, but her name never made the gossip columns the way his did. At first, their marriage felt unbreakable. They were a team. He, the visionary risk-taker, she, the stable anchor who kept his life grounded. However, the higher they climbed in society, the more heavily social pressures weighed on them. Red carpet events, high-stakes fundraising galas, mingling with billionaires sometimes. Isabel yearned for simpler times. In hushed conversations, she confessed feeling out of place among the champagne-laden soirees. Raymond would kiss her forehead and assure her she was perfect as she was, but the glittery nights continued. Not long after their 5th anniversary, Isabel discovered she was pregnant. Though it came as a surprise, both were overjoyed, at least initially. She imagined their home filling with the joyful chaos of a child's laughter. Yet, as her belly grew, she noticed a subtle distance in Raymond. His phone buzzed more often. He worked longer hours. His eyes held a restless flicker. She couldn't interpret. She told herself it was the added weight of fatherhood looming on the horizon. Little did Isabel know, the ache of her husband's growing detachment was not a figment of her imagination. Far from the warmth of her love, an entirely different fire had begun to burn, one that glimmered in the reflection of a dazzling necklace, destined for someone else's neck. And that secret, once unveiled, would throw them both into a tempest far more perilous than any they'd ever faced. Raymond Black wasn't always the picture-perfect husband that society's magazines loved to flaunt. Yes, he adored Isabel at least. He believed he did. But he also thrived on adrenaline, on the thrill of conquest. whether in business or beyond. In his world of deals and expansions, securing the next big win was an obsession. Sometimes that hunger spilled outside the bounds of business. He met Adrienne Levant during a high-profile charity auction, an event organized by a mutual friend to raise funds for underprivileged children's education. Adrienne was introduced as a consultant specializing in luxury brand strategy, though rumor had it she doubled as a socialite known for forging valuable connections with aristocrats and celebrities. The moment Raymond saw her, a spark lit in his eyes. With her jet black hair, regal posture, and an aura that exuded confidence, Adrienne could command an entire room's attention without uttering a single word. Their first interaction was brief, a courtesy handshake, a polite exchange about philanthropic interests. But Adrienne's touch lingered a fraction too long. Her gaze flicked over him like a connoisseur assessing fine art. Raymond felt an electric jolt, the whisper of danger that ignited his old impulses. At the end of the auction, she walked away with a wink that sent a shiver down his spine. Over the next few weeks, they crossed paths often too often to be mere coincidence. At a venture capital summit, Adrienne was there, exchanging pleasantries with influential investors. At a black tie gala, she appeared again, offering a sly smile as they passed each other. A chance meeting at a cocktail lounge led to their first real conversation, buoyed by top-shelf liquor and the hush of a secluded corner table. That night, they discovered a shared fascination with the synergy between wealth and power, how a carefully chosen piece of jewelry could transform a woman's image, how public perception could be shaped with a single strategic move. Raymond told himself it was harmless flirtation. He had no intention of betraying his pregnant wife. Yet, each encounter with Adrienne teased his desire for excitement. The more taboo it felt, the more it thrilled him. And Adrienne, ever the tactician, recognized his vulnerability, skillfully orchestrating further meetings that teetered on the boundary between business networking and intimate tryst. One balmy evening, after an exclusive dinner with clients, Raymond found himself sharing a private driver with Adrienne. The conversation that started with branding strategies soon drifted into personal terrain. She laughed softly, placing a hand on his arm, mentioning how she admired his ambition. In that moment, her perfume swirled around him, a heady mix of jasmine and promise. When they parted ways at her hotel, she pressed a note into his palm, her private phone number. "In case you need more conversation," she whispered. The next morning, guilt plagued him, but also a strange elation. Adrienne was a catalyst for a side of him that had been dormant, a man not just shaped by corporate suits and fatherly responsibilities. He told himself it was nothing serious, just a spark to break the monotony, a secret to amuse the corner of his life that felt overshadowed by fatherhood's demands. He never imagined that secret would soon revolve around a shimmering piece of jewelry, and that Isabel, the loyal wife carrying his child, would be forced to confront the worst of his betrayals in the most public way possible. As Isabel's pregnancy progressed, she tried hard to maintain a sense of normalcy. She continued part-time at her project management job, balancing spreadsheets and scheduling client meetings around her growing physical limitations. Her colleagues offered congratulations and helpful gestures, but she often found herself daydreaming about quiet evenings with Raymond, moments to share the wonder of their coming child. Yet Raymond's absences multiplied. He started leaving the penthouse early and coming home well past dinner, sometimes stinking of expensive cologne that wasn't his usual brand. Isabel tried to be understanding. He was busy scaling up a new acquisition within Blackstone Innovations, or so he claimed, but a cold tension settled in her stomach whenever he brushed off her attempts to discuss parenting plans. One Thursday evening, Isabel arrived home from a prenatal checkup to find a bank notification in her email. Their joint account reflected a significant withdrawal labeled simply Estate Jewelers, LLC, Frowning, she clicked to see the sum, an eye-watering $20,000. A swirl of confusion. We haven't talked about any big purchases, she thought. Despite their wealth, they usually consulted each other on large spending decisions, especially with a baby on the way. When Raymond returned that night, she gently questioned him. He tossed his coat aside, his expression guarded. "I purchased something for an upcoming charity auction," he lied smoothly. "A donation to help raise funds. You know how these events are." She tried to read his eyes. 20,000? That's quite a donation. Are you sure you want to spend that much right now? He forced a laugh, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "Don't worry, it's for a good cause. Besides, we can afford it. Everything's under control." His phone buzzed, and he quickly fished it out, walking away before she could press further. A hollow feeling settled in Isabel's chest, but she forced herself to trust him. They were a team, after all. He wouldn't lie to me. She placed a hand on her belly, murmuring a silent reassurance to her unborn baby. Across town that same evening, Adrienne Levant admired the glint of a custom-designed necklace, glistening in velvet packaging emeralds, circled by diamonds set in white gold. She smirked at the memory of Raymond's fidgety excitement when placing the order. "Something truly stunning," he'd said to the jeweler, "for someone who deserves the best." She recalled how he slipped away from her during a lunch date to take a phone call, presumably from his wife, and how he returned looking conflicted yet thrillingly alive. Adrienne ran a fingertip across the emerald centerpiece, her heart fluttering with satisfaction. She had reeled in powerful men before, but none who seemed as enthralled by the chase as Raymond. The necklace was proof of her success, a shimmering testament to the control she wielded behind closed doors. She thought back to how she'd carefully manipulated their encounters, always hinting that she wasn't the type to settle for cheap trinkets or half-hearted attention. He'd taken the bait. Soon, Adrienne mused, she would wear this masterpiece around her neck at a lavish event, turning heads, letting the world guess about its origins. Meanwhile, Isabel remained far from her mind, just another clueless wife, overshadowed by her husband's unstoppable ambition. Adrienne had no inkling that her victory would soon become the spark of a scandal that would shake the city's elite to its very core. Several days later, Isabel received a call from an old friend named Claudine Rise, a fashion journalist known for her relentless curiosity. Claudine's hushed tone alerted Isabel that something serious was brewing. "Can we meet for coffee, Belle?" she asked. "I came across something that might be important for you to know." Wary but curious, Isabel agreed, meeting Claudine at a discreet cafe near Central Park. Over latte foam and hushed conversation, Claudine revealed that she'd been assigned a piece on luxury jewelers catering to high-profile clients. While researching, she'd uncovered a lead, suggesting Raymond Black had made a substantial purchase, apparently not for any public donation or philanthropic cause, but rumored to be a personal gift. Claudine's sources were hush-hush, but well-connected. A boutique gemologist even described the piece, an emerald diamond necklace with a custom engraving, though the exact wording was unknown. Tension tightened around Isabel's chest as she recalled the suspicious withdrawal from their joint account. She forced a calm expression, though her mind whirled. "Are you certain it's for personal use?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. Claudine nodded gravely. It didn't seem like something for an auction or fundraiser. The jeweler specifically noted it was a personalized commission, and I'm not sure you'd want to see your name on it. Word is, someone else's initials might be involved. A cold flush crept over Isabel's cheeks. She clenched her teacup, knuckles whitening, but forced herself to remain poised. "Thank you for telling me," she managed. "I need some time to process this." They parted ways with Claudine's eyes full of sympathetic concern. That afternoon, Isabel raced home, mind churning. If the necklace was real, Why had Raymond lied about it being for a charity donation? Who was it truly for? The possibility that it might be a gift for a mistress gnawed at her. She tried calling Raymond, but he was in a meeting, according to his assistant. Overwrought, she sank onto the living room sofa, stroking her belly as if to calm the baby and herself. Meanwhile, Raymond sat in an upper-floor conference room at Blackstone Innovations, feigning interest in charts about foreign market expansions. His phone vibrated incessantly with Isabel's name on the screen, spiking his guilt. Across the table, Adrienne sent him a subtle smirk. She had weaseled her way into the meeting under the guise of branding counsel, ensuring they shared the same space. After the meeting, he stepped out, checking messages. Isabel had left a voicemail, her voice trembling, requesting him to come home early. Anxiety tightened in his gut. Adrienne's voice suddenly whispered in his ear, "Everything all right, Raymond?" He turned, startled. She rested a hand on his shoulder, an unspoken invitation in her gaze. "It's fine," he lied, shoving the phone into his pocket. "Work stuff." Deep down, he sensed the precariousness of his predicament. The necklace had arrived a day ago, locked in his private office drawer. Adrienne was pressing for a proper unveiling, perhaps at an upcoming gala. Isabel, increasingly suspicious, was pressing for answers. Something had to give. That evening, he planned to finally come clean about the necklace, some version of it anyway. He'd spin a partial truth, hoping to soothe Isabel's alarm. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. And the next time that emerald necklace saw the light of day, it would be under circumstances that no one could have anticipated. Torn between dread and determination, Isabel confronted Raymond the moment he stepped into the penthouse. She'd spent the afternoon rehearsing her words, but now, face to face, they tumbled out unevenly. "Ray, I know you didn't buy that necklace for charity. Tell me the truth." He paused in the foyer, eyes flicking to the corner where their half-packed hospital bag for the baby sat. The weight of her accusation pinned him in place. "What do you mean?" He tried, voice feigning innocence, but she cut him off. "I spoke to Claudine. She's investigating a story about jewelers. There's a rumor you commissioned a custom emerald necklace with an engraving. You withdrew 20,000 from our account. So don't feed me any more lies." Raymond's heart hammered. Every muscle in his body screamed to deny, deflect, but the look on Isabel's face, equal parts heartbreak and fury, stopped him cold. I bought it as a personal gift, yes," he admitted carefully. "For a business associate." Her expression darkened at the last words, so he rushed on. "It's not what you think. She helped me secure a big contract. It was a gesture of gratitude." "Maybe it was impulsive. I'm sorry." Isabel held his gaze, searching for any glimmer of truth. "A gesture of gratitude? We're married, expecting a child, and you're buying another woman a necklace worth thousands? Don't you see how this looks?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. "Look, I might have made a mistake, but it's not an affair. Let's talk this out calmly." She stepped back, tears burning in her eyes. "Calmly? Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? People are whispering behind my back. My friend found out about your secret purchase before I did." Her voice cracked. "Ray, I need honesty. Is there more to your relationship with this associate?" For a fleeting moment, the entire charade threatened to unravel. Raymond nearly confessed all of it Adrienne's name, their clandestine dinners, the stolen kisses that ignited a craving he couldn't explain. But fear overtook him. Fear of losing Isabel, fear of scandal that could sabotage his business deals, fear of looking small and pathetic. Instead, he bent the truth again. "She's just an important contact I wanted to thank. I swear it's nothing else." Isabel clenched her jaw, arms wrapping protectively around her belly. The sting of betrayal was evident, though she wanted so desperately to believe him. For the baby's sake, for their marriage, Then return it, she challenged. Return the necklace if it's nothing more than a misguided gift. His stomach sank. Adrian had the necklace now, presumably. Or it was at the office. Or he forced a calm he didn't feel. I can't. It's already delivered. It would be rude to ask for it back. Her laugh was hollow. Rude, right. Because how it looks to her matters more than how it looks to me, your pregnant wife. She paused, a wave of exhaustion crossing her face. I can't deal with this right now. Sleep in the guest room until you figure out whose feelings you care about more. And with that she turned, disappearing into the hallway. Raymond stood rooted, pangs of guilt and panic swirling. He never felt so helpless. Yet a small, twisted corner of his mind still yearned for Adrienne's seductive presence. He told himself he was trapped in a labyrinth of his own making. What he didn't realize was that Isabel, far stronger than he ever gave her credit for, was about to blaze a trail out of that labyrinth, leaving devastation and a measure of victory in her wake. Morning arrived with a grey drizzle that matched the somber mood within the penthouse. Isabel awoke drained from a restless night, but also oddly resolute. She phoned her mother, Anne Carter, confiding the bare bones of the situation enough to convey that her marriage was under strain without delving into scandalous details. Anne, shocked, offered to fly in immediately, but Isabel asked her to wait. "Let me see how things develop," she said softly. Raymond left early for the office, murmuring a half-hearted apology that she barely acknowledged. With him gone, Isabel gathered her thoughts. If the necklace indeed existed, if it was truly for another woman, she needed something more concrete than his half-lies. She needed indisputable proof. She also needed time to decide her next steps: confrontation, separation, or any chance of reconciliation for the baby's sake. That same afternoon, as Isabel paced the living room, she received an unexpected call from the jeweler Estate Jewelers, LLC. The man on the line spoke in a refined tone. "Good day, Mrs. Black. I'm calling to confirm your satisfaction with the custom piece Mr. Black commissioned. We'd love to ensure everything meets your family's expectations." Isabel's heart raced. "Oh, yes, about that. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me at the moment," she said, masking her turmoil. "Could you remind me of the details? I've misplaced the certificate." He sounded delighted to oblige. "Certainly. It's a unique emerald diamond collar, custom engraved. The design was intended as a personal message from Mr. Raymond Black to Miss Adrienne Levant." He paused. "I see here it's inscribed to A.L. My inspiration always." "We do hope she's pleased." Fire ignited in Isabel's chest, a swirl of betrayal and hurt. "Yes, of course. Thank you," she managed before hanging up, her breath short. The name, Adrienne Levant, the final confirmation that her husband had lied about the gift's purpose. A personal message, my inspiration always. A hush fell over the penthouse, broken only by her ragged breathing. She pressed a hand to her abdomen, silently apologizing to her unborn child for the stress. Then, gathering her wits, Isabel scrolled through her phone. Within minutes, she found what she sought, an upcoming gala event hosted by a luxury magazine, rumored to be the place to be for society's darlings. Adrienne Levant was listed among the confirmed attendees. She suspected that might be the stage where Adrienne would flaunt her new necklace. Without a second thought, Isabel dialed the event coordinator, an acquaintance from past charity functions. Putting on her most polished tone, she inquired about tickets, explaining that she and Raymond had intended to appear. The coordinator was thrilled, promising to place her on the VIP list. So be it, Isabel thought grimly, her mind made up. She was going to face Adrienne publicly if need be and end this charade. Across town, Adrienne sipped champagne in her lavish apartment, admiring the emerald necklace in her bedroom mirror. The engraving glinted in the soft light, a testament to her triumph. She pictured wearing it to that upcoming gala, turning heads, letting onlookers speculate about her benefactor. She had no inkling that the rightful woman behind Raymond's last name had already discovered her identity and was preparing a move that would cast a bright, unforgiving spotlight on their clandestine affair. Raymond closed another stressful day at Blackstone Innovations, signing off on documents while ignoring texts from Adrienne urging him to meet for a drink. He was in no mood to fan the flames of that affair, especially after the tense showdown with Isabel. Guilt gnawed at him like a constant ache. Late in the evening, he returned to the penthouse. Instead of confronting him, Isabel calmly informed him she was attending a prestigious gala the following night, one of those events that typically demanded them to go as a couple. Raymond's eyes flickered. "I heard about that. I have a business trip the day after. Not sure if I can make it," he replied, uncertain if he wanted to face the social scene alongside her, especially under the weight of his secret. Isabel merely nodded, her tone unreadable. "That's fine. I'll go alone." She then turned on her heel, heading to her room without further explanation. Little did Raymond know that Isabel had discovered everything: the mistress's name, the engraved necklace, the upcoming gala. Nor did he suspect that she had meticulously planned her own form of justice. Instead, he spent the night tossing in the guest bed, mulling how to salvage their marriage without exposing himself fully. The fear of public scandal loomed large, overshadowing any sense of moral clarity. The next day, Adrienne was in her element, draped in a satin gown that accentuated every curve, the emerald necklace proudly displayed against her collarbone. She arrived early to the gala, relishing the camera flashes and the polite applause from fellow attendees. Whispers circled, who gifted her that piece? Some recognized its rumored connection to Raymond Black, though no one dared question Adrienne directly. She glided through the opulent hall, meeting acquaintances, savoring the power of their envy. Shortly before 8, Isabel stepped into the gala's grand foyer. Despite her advanced pregnancy, she wore a stunning, understated black gown that flattered her figure. Her presence commanded immediate attention. The hostess greeted her with wide eyes. "Miss S. Black, we didn't realize you'd be attending alone. Is Mr. Black joining us soon?" Isabel smiled politely. Uncertain, I decided not to wait. Without further elaboration, she swept through the crowd, guided by a quiet determination. The room hushed around her as she progressed, heads turning to see a poised mother, to be exuding a calm authority. Adrienne caught sight of the swirl of attention, and her heart froze. Isabel Black. She recognized the woman from media pictures, Raymond's pregnant wife, never a regular on the social circuit but admired for her grace. Adrienne's fingers tightened around the stem of her champagne flute. She hadn't anticipated Isabel showing up here, of all places. Drawing a breath, Adrienne adjusted her posture, the emerald necklace sparkling under the chandeliers. She told herself to remain composed. She had nothing to fear. Yet an uneasy flicker pulsed in her chest. Meanwhile, Isabel traced her gaze around the ballroom until it landed on Adrienne. Their eyes locked. In that charged moment, the crowd seemed to fade. Isabel noted the ostentatious necklace, glinting like a trophy around the other woman's neck. A wave of emotion surged: hurt, anger, resolution. She forced herself to walk across the polished floor, each step echoing like a drumbeat of destiny. It was time for the real confrontation, and everyone there, from the hush of onlookers to the paparazzi lurking in corners, would witness a scene no one would soon forget. The hush was palpable as Isabel approached Adrienne near the gala's centerpiece fountain. Cameras clicked discreetly from across the room. Onlookers sensed an impending drama, though none dared intervene. Adrienne stood taller, refusing to relinquish her composure. She offered a neutral smile, more for the benefit of curious eyes than actual warmth. "Mrs. Black," Adrienne said softly, inclining her head in a feigned gesture of respect. How lovely to meet you in person. Isabel's stomach coiled with tension. She forced a calm exhale, reminding herself she stood here not just as a betrayed wife, but also a soon-to-be mother determined to protect her dignity. Adrienne Levant, right? She replied, scanning the gleaming emerald necklace that nestled against Adrienne's collarbone. I hear you're quite well acquainted with my husband. Adrienne matched her gaze, a flicker of triumph dancing in her eyes. Yes, we've collaborated on certain projects. I understand he's spoken of me. Isabel's voice trembled with reigned anger. He mentioned a business contact, but forgot to mention the personal nature of your arrangement. Her eyes flicked pointedly to the necklace. That piece is quite striking. Adrienne's lips curved. A gift from a generous admirer. She let the implication linger, no trace of shame, as though brandishing her conquest in plain view. Do you like it? In response, Isabel tilted her chin upward. Her pulse hammered, but she refused to show weakness. It looks expensive, must mean a lot to you. I wonder, does the engraving mean as much? A subtle twitch crossed Adrienne's face. Clearly, she hadn't expected Isabel to know about the personal inscription. Still, she maintained her veneer of aloofness. He wanted something special for me. I dare say he succeeded. The venom in her words was quiet but sharp. Isabel's mind flashed with a swirl of heartbreak and fury. She recalled the day she discovered the necklace's details, the swirl of betrayal. But in that moment, she tapped into a deep reservoir of resolve, one that had solidified the day she decided she would not be a silent victim. And for that, Isabel murmured, stepping closer, I have a small token for you, too. She reached into the small clutch at her side, withdrawing a folded document. Gently she pressed it into Adrienne's hand. The watchers craned their necks. Adrienne's brow furrowed as she unfolded the paper. A hush spread. Reading the words, Adrienne's face paled. She glanced up, meeting Isabel's unwavering stare. What is this? She whispered, her poised confidence suddenly shaken. Isabel's voice was steady, though her heart thundered. It's proof that the design, full payment, and final ownership of that necklace legally belong to me, as Raymond used our joint marital assets to fund it without my permission. My lawyer had it filed today. She allowed a hint of triumph in her tone. So, legally, that necklace is mine. A wave of gasps rippled among the bystanders. Adrienne's eyes flicked down to the emeralds resting at her chest, then back to the paper. Rage and humiliation warred on her features. Isabel's next words landed like a thunderclap. I'm here to reclaim what's mine, Miss Levant. You're wearing my property. Please remove it now. Stunned silence enveloped the ballroom. All eyes were glued to the confrontation. Adrienne opened her mouth, but no sound emerged. Isabel waited, unwavering, resolved to see this bold move through no matter the cost or the scandal it ignited. For a moment, neither woman moved. The tension coiled tighter, an almost tangible force. The crowd held its collective breath. Then Adrienne's cheeks flushed with indignation. You can't be serious, she spat, voice quivering. Do you think a piece of paper is going to guarantee my right to that necklace? Isabel cut in, calm and firm. Yes, it does. I have the receipts and the legal claim that all major purchases from our joint account require both signatures. The store's transaction is incomplete without mine. You have no rightful ownership. A hush fell again. Adrienne's anger flared. She lifted her chin in defiance, one hand clasping the emerald pendant protectively. Raymond gave this to me. If you have an issue, take it up with him, she hissed. Isabel's eyes flicked to the side, noticing new watchers from the press, their cameras snapping more openly now. Perfect. Let them capture this, she thought, letting the entire world see how she would not be trifled with. He can explain his actions later, Isabel said softly. But you? You knew he was married. You took what you had no claim to. Now I'm demanding it back. Adrian's shoulders tightened. She glanced around, seeing no immediate ally. The last thing she wanted was a public scene, especially with reporters salivating for scandal. But her pride bristled at the notion of handing over her prize trophy. "This is absurd," she managed, searching for a graceful exit. Isabel refused to blink, even as her pulse pounded. She pressed on, voice resonant. "You can hand it over, or we can call the authorities right now. There are plenty of them in attendance. You know, security, detectives. How would you enjoy that headline tomorrow?" A ripple of dread crossed Adrienne's face. She realized that if she was arrested or forcibly removed from the gala for possessing stolen property, her social standing would be obliterated. The cameras around them clicked like the staccato of gunfire, capturing every flicker of her humiliation. With shaking hands, Adrienne reached behind her neck, fumbling with the clasp. Slowly she pulled the glittering necklace free. The emeralds caught the overhead light, shining brilliantly as if mocking her. She extended it toward Isabel with a trembling sneer, voice choked. "Fine," she said bitterly. "Take it. Enjoy your pathetic victory." Isabel gently took the necklace, a swirl of relief and heartbreak colliding in her chest. The press cameras exploded with flash, capturing the moment. She felt tears threaten, but held them back, reminding herself that she stood here for the dignity of herself and her child. Adrienne glared once more, then turned on her heel, vanishing into the crowd. A wave of murmurs enveloped the room, some sympathetic, some scandalized. Isabel clenched the necklace, inhaling shakily. She'd done it. She'd confronted her husband's mistress and reclaimed a symbol of his betrayal. Yet the final pang of grief soared through her. "This is what my marriage has come to." She spun around to see a new arrival, Raymond, having rushed in moments earlier, drawn by the swirling rumors of a confrontation. He stood at the edge of the crowd, face ashen, eyes wide with shock. The chaotic scene of cameras, gasps, and his pregnant wife clutching the necklace told him everything he needed to know. Isabel locked eyes with him, the raw betrayal etched across her features. For a beat, neither spoke. Then, with quiet dignity, Isabel turned and walked away, the seized jewelry in her hand, leaving Raymond to confront the uproar she'd ignited. Raymond pushed past the onlookers, heart pounding in his chest. He caught up to Isabel near the ornate double doors leading out of the gala, ignoring the barrage of flashbulbs and shouted questions from tabloids. "Belle, wait!" he called, voice cracking with desperation. She paused, turning to face him with tears shimmering in her eyes. The emerald necklace dangled from her fingers, a stark reminder of his betrayal. "What could you possibly say to me now?" she asked, voice unsteady. The hush in the hallway was deafening, the tension thick enough to suffocate them both. He swallowed hard, breath shaky. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted it to escalate like this." "Adrienne, don't say her name," Isabel snapped, tears slipping free at last. "You humiliated me. You humiliated yourself. And all for what? A cheap thrill? An ego boost? Did you think you wouldn't get caught?" Raymond's gaze dropped. He realized that in all his manipulations, he had never anticipated how savage the truth would be once it clawed its way out into the open. I was selfish," he admitted. "I couldn't stop it. The thrill, it blinded me. But it meant nothing, Belle. I love you and our baby. Please believe that." She laughed, a hollow sound echoing in the opulent corridor. "You call this love? Purchasing a necklace that costs more than some houses for a woman who, as it seems, was not content to remain in the shadows?" Her voice shook with hurt. "And I find out from a friend, then from a jeweler, about your secret gift. It's beyond betrayal." He tried reaching for her hand, but she recoiled, clutching the necklace protectively. "What do you want me to do?" he pleaded, eyes glistening. "I'll do anything to fix this." Isabel stared at him, heartbreak warring with anger. She thought of the vows they once exchanged, the future they'd envisioned, and how quickly he let desire overshadow the wife who carried his child. "I don't know if you can fix this," she whispered, "but here's what I'm doing. I'm taking this necklace, I'm going home, and I'm thinking about what's best for me and our baby." Her voice firmed. "And until I decide, I don't want you near me." Raymond's shoulders slumped in despair, a million regrets clawing at his mind. He realized he stood to lose everything: his marriage, the family he dreamt of, even the respect of the city's elite. "Please, Belle," she shook her head and stepped backward. Onlookers parted as she headed for the exit, leaving him standing alone, feeling the weight of his ruin. The paparazzi cameras flashed, capturing his ashen face, the picture of a millionaire undone by his own hubris. Outside, the city lights blurred in Isabel's teary vision. She clutched the necklace in her trembling hands, numb to the stares of passers-by. Yes, she had reclaimed what was hers, delivering a public blow to the mistress. But deep inside, she questioned whether winning this battle came at the expense of losing everything else she'd held dear. Back at the penthouse, Isabel found Harriet Brown, her longtime confidant, waiting in the foyer. Harriet had read online whispers about a dramatic confrontation involving Isabel Black. Worried, she rushed to Isabel's side unannounced. Isabel didn't bother hiding her tears as Harriet enveloped her in a comforting hug. She recounted the night's events, voice trembling with heartbreak. Showing Harriet the gleaming emerald necklace, she explained how she'd used legal documents to assert her ownership. Harriet's eyes widened in amazement. "That's unbelievably bold," Harriet whispered, glancing between the necklace and Isabel's anguished face. "I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, but I'm so sorry you had to." Isabel slumped onto the living room couch, pressing a hand to her baby bump. "All I feel is emptiness," she admitted. "Yes, I confronted them, but I never thought my marriage would reach such a point. Part of me wonders if there's anything left to save." Harriet sat beside her, gently clasping her hand. "Raymond messed up in a huge way, but you don't have to decide your future tonight. Focus on your emotional well-being, on the baby. We can find you support, a counselor, a legal advisor, whatever you need." Outside, the media frenzy surged, fueled by spectators' cell phone videos and the paparazzi's coverage. Within hours, social media buzzed with the story of a pregnant wife reclaiming her adulterous husband's lavish gift from his mistress. The tabloids dubbed Isabel a quiet powerhouse, praising her calm display of strength. Others predicted a swift divorce, painting Raymond as a typical philanderer, undone by arrogance. Raymond, meanwhile, sat in his office at Blackstone Innovations, having fled the gala in shame. The crisis was personal, but also threatened to bleed into his business reputation. Calls from board members demanded an explanation. His brand was at stake. He stared at the phone, paralyzed by the scale of his mistakes. That single necklace became a symbol of betrayal, etched into the public eye. Adrienne Levant, humiliated beyond measure, retreated to her apartment, smashing a crystal vase in a fit of rage. She fired off furious messages to Raymond. "Look what you did, you coward. You left me to face that embarrassment alone." He read them with a heavy heart, ignoring her pleas for damage control. The illusions that had once fueled their affair were stripped bare under the glare of scandal. Late into the night, Isabel tried to rest, cradling her unborn child. She recognized Harriet's words as truth. She didn't have to choose her path just yet. But the raw ache in her chest wouldn't subside. She replayed the confrontation, her triumphant moment overshadowed by heartbreak. She'd never felt so alone, even as the city's headlines framed her as the unstoppable wife who refused to be sidelined. In the morning, she woke from fitful sleep, steel in her resolve. For the child's sake, she would see Raymond and hear his pleas on her terms. Harriet, upon hearing this, nodded supportively. "Only you can decide what's best," she said. "But don't let him manipulate you. You hold the power now." Isabel lifted the emerald necklace, feeling its weight, a reminder of her newly reclaimed power and the shattered remains of the life she thought she knew. By midday, Raymond mustered the courage to show up at the penthouse. Harriet let him in warily and joined Isabel on the couch for moral support. Raymond looked haggard, eyes bloodshot, hair unkempt, as though he hadn't slept. He carried a folder under his arm. He addressed Isabel first. "I know I have no right to ask, but can we speak privately?" She glanced at Harriet, who gave a supportive nod. Isabel inhaled, heart pounding, then motioned for Harriet to wait in another room. Harriet squeezed her hand and left. Once alone, an uneasy silence stretched. Isabel sat rigid, arms folded. Raymond's gaze flicked to her baby bump, and he visibly winced. "Belle," he began, voice thick with regret, "I'm sorry. I know that's not enough, but I need you to know. Adrienne was a mistake, an infatuation. It's over, I swear." Her lip trembled. "Is that all it was? A mistake? You risked our entire marriage, our future child's sense of family, for an affair that you now casually dismiss as an error in judgment." He hung his head. "I let temptation rule me. I fell for her manipulations, yes, but it was my choice in the end. There's no excuse." He lifted the folder, placing it on the coffee table. "These are documents finalizing all ties I had with Adrienne, business or personal. I'm shutting down any deals or branding consultations with her. I want no part of her in my life." She eyed the folder, skepticism etched on her face. "You think dropping her after the fact undoes the damage?" Raymond shook his head, tears edging his eyes. "No, but it's a start. If you'll let me try to rebuild trust, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. Therapy, full financial transparency, anything. I love you and our unborn child more than anything else." Isabel's resolve wavered. She'd once adored him beyond measure, believed in his integrity. Now, each word triggered a swirl of memories. The lonely nights, the suspicious phone calls, the sight of that necklace on another woman's neck, but also the love they'd shared, the life they planned. "How do I know this is genuine, not just panic over public humiliation?" He sank to his knees before her, ignoring his pride. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'll earn it if you give me a chance. If you want me out of the house until after the baby is born, I'll go. If you want me to sign a post-nuptial agreement guaranteeing your financial security, I will. Anything." Her eyes filled with tears, her hand instinctively resting on her belly. She could sense the sincerity of his remorse and also the reality of the heartbreak he'd caused. "I can't promise anything," she said quietly, "but for our baby's sake, I might be willing to see if you're truly changing." An exhale of hope fluttered from him. Gently, he placed a hand near her belly. "I want to be here for you, for our child. I vow to spend the rest of my life making up for this." She let his hand linger for a moment, tears slipping free. A fragile truce emerged, overshadowed by the mountain of trust that needed rebuilding. Outside the closed door, Harriet listened quietly, prepared to step in if Isabel's heartbreak overtook her again. For the first time since that scandalous night at the gala, a sliver of possibility emerged. Whether it would lead to renewed love or final parting remained uncertain. But Isabel decided to allow herself that sliver, if only for the child whose future depended so heavily on the choices made within these walls. In the weeks that followed, a precarious calm settled over the Black household. Isabel cautiously allowed Raymond back into the penthouse, although he remained in the guest room. Harriet stayed close by, ready to support Isabel through the emotional landmines. The press continued to speculate. Is the power couple reconciling or heading for divorce? Tabloid headlines ranged from betrayed wife takes control to Raymond's redemption, is it too late? Meanwhile, Adrienne Levant vanished from the city's social scene, rumored to have fled abroad to escape the shame of her public downfall. The scandal lingered, but new stories soon took center stage in the tabloids, overshadowing her fiasco. Though no official statements confirmed it, everyone presumed the affair had ended for good. Therapy sessions began for Raymond and Isabel joint counseling to address the betrayal's aftermath. Raymond poured his soul into each session, admitting his insecurities, the adrenaline addiction that spurred him into reckless situations. Isabel listened, sometimes stoic, sometimes sobbing, grappling with the pain of his deception. Slowly, empathy crept in. She recognized a flicker of the man she once fell in love with, hidden beneath layers of ambition and pride. Their unborn child served as a silent catalyst, encouraging them to face their wounds instead of running. Doctors' visits became a chance for small reconciliations, hearing the baby's heartbeat together, sharing ultrasound images. Isabel discovered that leaning on Raymond in those moments, while still fragile, was not entirely unwelcome. She could see his genuine efforts to be present, to atone for the nights he missed while chasing illusions. One evening, about a month after the gala incident, Raymond found Isabel on the penthouse balcony, gazing at the city lights. The emerald necklace was nowhere to be seen. She'd locked it away, uncertain if it symbolized heartbreak or personal victory. Gently, he touched her shoulder. "Belle, can I sit with you?" She nodded, and they sank onto the outdoor love seat. "You sure you want to be around me without walls separating us?" she asked, attempting a wry smile. He returned a rueful grin. "I know I'm lucky you're even letting me breathe the same air." They spoke softly about the future, about how they might handle co-parenting if Isabel decided not to stay in the marriage, about how love, once cracked, might be mended but never exactly the same. Yet, as the hours drifted into night, they shared a closeness reminiscent of their early days, layering tentative hope over the wounds. After a long silence, Isabel turned to him, eyes solemn. "I haven't forgiven you fully, Ray, but I see you trying. Keep trying." She took his hand, placing it on her rounded belly where the baby kicked. "Our child deserves a father who values family more than fleeting excitement." Emotion clogged Raymond's throat. He nodded, tears threatening. "I will be that father," he vowed softly. "And, hopefully, a better husband, too." Far below, the city sparkled, oblivious to their personal storms. In that fragile moment, with heartbreak behind them and a child soon to arrive, they found a faint glimmer of possibility. The road ahead was far from smooth, but they had begun its first steps together, for however long that path would remain shared. Thank you for witnessing Isabel's powerful stand against betrayal and her journey of hard-won resolve. When a single, scandalous emerald necklace threatened to unravel her marriage, she refused to remain silent or settle for half-truths. By claiming legal ownership, confronting her husband's mistress in public, and demanding accountability, she proved her strength as both a wife and expectant mother. While the heartbreak ran deep, her bold move forced Raymond to confront his own failings, and confront them he did, with sincere regret and a willingness to rebuild from scratch. If you were captivated by this whirlwind of love, betrayal, and personal victory, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue weaving stories of courage, resilience, and the complexities of human relationships. Stay tuned for more riveting dramas where characters face impossible choices and discover just how strong they truly are. Thank you for watching.